Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and if you can hear a subtle, reassuring, almost kind of blipping of a homebrew airlock in the background, that is the sound of the first 3 shoots of Keep Cask Alive transferring from our field SD to our home SD.
Oh.
Ooh.
SD, when you say SD, you mean solid, what do you mean SSD?
Oh, wait, yeah. Solid state hard drive. SSD.
I think it's technically a hard disk drive, rather than an SSD. That's the 12 terabyte one, yeah?
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah. So, yeah, it's not an SSD. It's very much a whirly gig.
Unfortunately, we are on the whirly gig still because we haven't got enough Patreons. Join our Patreon so we can buy a 12 terabyte solid state drive. I don't know. I dread to think how much that would cost. A lot. Like, probably
more than we
£1,000?
turn over in a year. Oh, okay, maybe not.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I actually don't know how much it would cost.
Why are they called SD cards then?
It's an SD card.
Yeah, what does that stand for?
Oh, you put me on the spot. Well, a solid
small
state drive
disc.
is SSD. SD card. Oh, God, you put me on the spot. There's so many different formats. I don't know I can't remember what it stands for. What does SD...
Do you know what? It's okay. I just
matter.
enjoy the vision of people listening to this all over the world, screaming the answer at their, their car radio, or I don't know, into the sink as they do the washing up, or into their beers.
Secure digital, Johnny, just to confuse everyone. Secure digital.
I
and then
can't
you've got
think
SSD.
of a hard drive less secure than an SD card. They're forever messing us up.
I can. A mini SD card,
Ooh,
which is in the drone. That's what we got to contend with in the drone now, Johnny. We got a drone.
Oh yeah, we got a drone. There's some big news for folks at home.
Dude, it's pretty exciting.
Brad's been pushing. I think Brad likes drones more than beer.
I mean, I really want a drone.
Yeah,
I did buy the cheapest drone that DJI make that shoots 4K video, and it's sick. I don't know how they are producing this thing for how much it cost. It's absolutely bonkers to me. I'm thinking about changing my career to become a drone pilot full time.
I'd do a bit more practice.
I'm that good. No, I'm gonna buy a Top Gun jacket.
So we'll tell you all about it in a bit, but we were out in a field on Tuesday filming the barley harvest, and Brad was showing me the footage, and we both nearly crapped ourselves at one point where you pretty much landed in the grain bin on the top of the combine harvester.
Yeah, I didn't realise I was as close because it was so bright and sunny I couldn't see the screen, and the harvester was so far away that I couldn't actually see that either. I couldn't see the drone, couldn't see the screen. So yeah, I was flying with the force, mate. Don't know. I've got some serious spider senses because I don't know how it didn't get eaten up.
Could be spider sense, could be luck. It kind of cuts both ways. It's like it's either spider sense that you didn't actually crash it, or it's lack of sense that you very nearly did. I don't know where that line is crossed.
I think that's the sign of a good Top Gun pilot, is that you got to be crazy enough So just do it, like Nike said.
I think
You know?
that's the opposite of what drone pilots should be.
I am, of course, joking about all of this. I think what it is, it looked like I was right on top of it because it's like a zoomed in lens.
Yeah.
That's the story I'm telling
Yeah.
myself.
Isn't it a super wide lens?
Yeah, it's a zoomed in
Right.
super wide lens.
Zoomed
so
in.
yeah.
Okay, right. Okay.
I don't actually know what the aspect ratio
Well,
is, but
either
it has
way,
got a
the
micro secure digital memory card in it, Johnny, to bring it all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah. And that
That's the
SD
most
card is
important
now, micro SD is now full of wonderful footage of combine
Yeah,
harvesters
Oh,
bringing
yeah.
in the barley.
Oh yeah, baby.
So this week we were at Crisp Maltings. We've actually been. There was our third visit to Crisp. We're old friends with the wonderful folks, Maddie, Jody, and of course Dr. Dave.
Dr. Dave.
Usually we stand in a field with, but this time he gave us a tour of the maltings up at Great Ryborough, or Fakenham technically.
Yeah.
So we had a great tour with him. We learned all about, really in depth into the process of how malting happens, what they're looking for in the barley, what they're looking for in the malts, and sort of the technical side of that. And then we went out to the field to a place, was it Congham? Congham Farms.
Yeah.
Where they were harvesting it was actually spring barley, so the later blooming variety. I forget which variety it was. He did tell me, but it was a beautiful, absolutely stunning, gorgeous day. And
Magnificent.
I don't think I've been as excitable on a shoot in a long time. It was, because most breweries are pretty similar. You have some nice moments and see some unusual things, like we'll talk about at Timothy Taylor's where we were last week. But this was entirely new for us, and it was pretty thrilling to see these giant. The biggest one was 40-foot wide blades.
45, wasn't it?
Is it 45 and 30 or 40 and 35? Can't remember.
Oh, maybe that way. 75 combined feet of cutting power.
And it was, we were getting pretty close, not just with drones, but physically. I've got a shot that I look back on and go, that was a bit silly, Johnny.
Yeah, he could have got thrashed to death,
getting that
mate.
close. But I can see right into the driver's eyes, and he's not panicked. So
Did he wink at you?
No, I can't see that. But just
did he lick his lips as if he was going to get ready to mow you down? Maybe he was a nutter.
Could have been. But he didn't get me. There is also a glorious. I don't know whether it's going to make it into the actual. I know it probably is because it's very funny. We're interviewing the farm, or I'm interviewing the farm manager. Brad's filming us, and we slowly become aware that there is a combine not far away and not slowing down.
It's a bit like in Austin Powers when he gets run over by the steamroller, one of the minions. But combine harvest goes substantially faster than a steamroller. They're pretty quick.
They were, I don't know, like 15 miles an hour or something. Pretty speedy.
Don't know. It felt pretty quick when you can see the bitey end of it coming at you.
Actually, it probably wasn't 50 miles an hour because there was one point I was desperately trying to get this shot of where like a combine was going in one direction and the other combine was going in the other, so I could get that kind of crisscross shot. Yeah. So I was sprinting. I was racing one of the combines to get in position. I did beat the combine, and I'm fairly certain that me and Boots on a hot day uphill through hay can't go at 15 miles an hour. Maybe 7 or 8.
Oh, you're definitely as fast as Usain Bolt, right? How fast does he go? 20? I don't know how fast he goes.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could do the maths, but 100 meters in 9.54, is it?
I have no idea.
She's going 10 meters a second, basically.
Yeah.
Which, when I put it like that, is absolutely insane.
It's pretty fast, isn't it? Johnny, we're moving. I'm moving because I've got... Oh, well, mate. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a parcel. There you go.
Oh,
Everyone
okay.
gets to see
Is it another drone?
It's not another drone. I don't know what it is. But Kirsty's not here today, so she's gone off and had something delivered. I had to answer the door there, sorry, for everyone who's wondering what was going on.
There you go. This is...
Back in the game.
Podcasting on the edge. So we visited Crisp, had an absolutely amazing time there and at Congham Farms. Thanks to everybody that helped us out. That is for...
Mate, we didn't even talk about the scenes, the wildlife scenes. Like, it was pretty cool. I spotted a little bird and I asked the landowner what it was. I was like, that sounds like a songbird. Skylark. Beautiful little skylark flying along. I saw a deer
Yeah, saw deer
bound
as well.
out for its life when
Yeah.
the combine was coming at it. Surprisingly close before it jumped out the way.
I reckon it might have been going through the field already, rather than just sort of laid there waiting.
I think he was sat there having a snooze or eating.
Yeah, it could
I
have
don't
been
know.
eating.
You're probably right. Maybe he was making his way slowly and then he just went, "Oh Christ!"
A bit
Better
like us
jump out
during
the
the
way.
interview. Yeah,
Yeah. And you saw a hare.
I saw a hare, massive hare, like
I don't
the
think I've ever
Bigfoot
seen
of
a hare in
hares.
real life. Wow.
It was. I would say it would have gone up, including ears, up to my knee. It was massive.
Are you sure it wasn't a black
Kangaroo?
cat? No, like a beast of Cogham.
Like the beast of Bodmin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't a
it could be. It could be
Black
just the
Panther?
rabbit version,
Right, okay.
the bad rabbits in Watership Down.
Oh god. Yeah, that was a terrible idea. That film. He wants to
I
show
don't-
kids a film about myxomatosis and animals
and getting choked by
savaging each
barbed
other.
wire and just
Terrible.
horrific film. Yes. So yeah, we saw lots of wildlife. Saw lots of malt being harvested and lots of barley being harvested and lots of malt being created. And got fascinating insight from Dr. Dave, who is one of the world's leading experts on both barley and malting. And I can't wait to show you that. So that's part of the harvest episode. So that also we'll be covering the hop harvest and the green hop festival culture in the UK as part of Keep Cask Alive too. But last week we were up in Yorkshire,
Dude, incredible.
which we fell in love with. This summer, I'm going to be hosting talks at the Manchester, Bristol and London craft beer festivals, giving festival goers the chance to attend tutored tastings, rare beer pours, meet the brewers and even guided tours of the bars. These 3 festivals are the highlights of my events calendar, featuring some of the world's best breweries with delicious restaurant pop-ups, great music and a really welcoming party atmosphere. It's the 3rd year I've been hosting the We Are Beer Tastings table, but for the first time I'm delighted to offer all of our listeners, viewers and Patreons £5 off a ticket when you use the code CBC5. Just hit the link in the description to buy. See you there.
Like literally, I thought it was amazing. I had such a great time. We did be doing a lot of driving all around, all over the place.
Yeah.
But that was some epic driving. What a beautiful place Yorkshire is. The Dales are like just like kind of. I took my breath away a little bit. Can't really describe it. How
Yeah, there
they're
were
just
moments
very,
like
very
you just
beautiful.
turn around a corner, you get this, you wouldn't realise how high you'd got, and there'd just be these incredible vistas across the Dales out of nowhere. It was a bit of a crash course in manual driving again, because I drive an automatic generally, and when we rent, I always go for the cheaper manuals, and a lot more gear changes than you do on a motorway. But it was good fun anyway. I pretended to be Colin McRae and got on with it.
Beep beep.
Beep beep, yeah. So yeah, we were up at. Well, firstly, we were in York. We visited some incredible pubs, including the Swan in York, which was mind blowing as a location. Had great beer on as well, and actually a great sort of keg range as well as a great cask range. So a really, really good pub. Owned by a chap called Paul, who does a lot of campaigning around sort of the pub tie, which is not a topic we've truly covered on the. Well, we've covered it on the podcast, but not on the YouTube channel, which I'd love to do at some point. You just get yourself in legal hot water very quickly, as Paul has found out. But that was an amazing pub, and we were there meeting some folks from York University to plan through and film some bits to update you all on the progress with UNESCO and that campaign. And then we went for a night out in York, didn't we? And I drank to excess, if I'm honest.
Well, I planned out how many pubs? 4, 5 pubs on a walking tour almost.
Yeah.
But we went to Brew York. We had some nice what would you call that? Is that Pan Asian food? I don't know what you call it. It's like food from
Yeah, across the two of us, it was Pan Asian. You went very much Korean, and I went.
Yeah.
Well, I went all over. Yeah, but
all
yeah,
over.
really good Pan Asian food and
Very
crispy.
good.
Had some crispy lagers, some crispy hazy beers.
Hazy, yeah, good beers. And then we first I was like, oh, closest one on the way back, Bluebell. We'll go check the Bluebell out. Smallest pub in York, just for one.
Yeah,
smallest pub in York. And then we got inside, and it was so charming. The people were so hospitable. The drinking corridor was so brilliant.
Yeah, we ended up. Yeah. It's called the West Riding layout. So you have a drinking corridor where people, I guess, come in, grab a pint, drink it quickly, leave. Then you have like the working class bar, which is
like two
hard
saloon
floors.
Bars.
Yeah, hard floors. Probably back then, lots of stools and stuff like that. And then you have the upper class lounge with
carpeted.
Carpet and
And strangely, so in the more working class saloon bar, leather seats because they're wiped clean.
Yeah.
But in the fancier bar, you get fabric seats, which today would seem like a downgrade.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's kind of how they used to do it. But yeah, it was amazing. We literally went there for one, and then we stayed all night.
3.5 we had in there.
Yeah.
And we got to know the bar staff. They gave us a cheeky half to say thank you for coming by, which was nice. We met some locals. We tried to escape and were lured back in by some locals and some American tourists.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We met what was that guy's name? Ulster Dave or something? Ulster Joe or I don't know.
Oh God, I can't remember.
Some people from I think Chico or somewhere in California.
Oh yeah, they were Chico, California. Yeah.
Chico, California. They all just we basically the whole night I was looking through the serving hatch, just kept craning my neck around and pining after wanting to sit in the front bar, which was where all the action was going on. Yeah, I wanted to sit with the locals because I could see there was a fruity bunch. They had like funny little waistcoats on, some of them, and like funny little hats. Proper drinking people that go there all the time, raucous. But like when we went in, there wasn't any room, and they all seemed to stay all night. And just as we were leaving, they beckoned us in, and we were brought into the welcoming embrace of the locals, which is always amazing. That was a great pub, man. Like the landlord had even made a book about the pub. That's how cool that pub is.
Yeah, really rich history, and they've preserved a lot of it. It's a Grade 2 listed building, just like the Swan is as well. So these are proper historical pubs, and they'll both feature in the documentaries in some way. Well, certainly the Swan will. There's interviews there, but we have to sneak presumably. I haven't looked through that footage yet. Presumably some quite drunken footage that we shot off the cuff. We weren't intending to. We just had cameras with us, and we're like, well, we have to capture some of this.
Yeah,
because it was proper Fear and Loathing in York vibes, as far as I can remember.
Was it Sharon behind the bar? I think her name was Sharon.
I think it was Sharon, yeah.
Yeah, she is great. She is really cool. Very nice person.
So big shout out to Sharon and the locals of the Bluebell. So the next day we had to get up pretty early and go to Timothy Taylor's brewery in Keighley, so about an hour and a half from York, pretty much due west, to visit a brewery that makes one of my favourite cask ales ever made. In fact, two of them, because I also think that Boltmaker's great. And we were there to film another episode of Keep Cask Alive, which is all about regional variations in bitter. Called Bitter But Not Boring. So we're going to be talking about the fact that it's not all, people call it, boring, brown, twiggy. We're going to say not all of it is like that. And when it's made beautifully, it is possibly brown, but the other two bits, brown and twiggy, are nonsense. And we learned a huge amount, not only about the rich history of Timmy's, the rich history of the beers that they make, the incredible lengths that they go to make sure their ingredients are not just top notch, but like unique. So, and that is what sort of makes certainly Landlords stand out from other bitters / pale ales. But also a lot about the trials and the joys of running a regional family brewery right. Because these are pretty big companies, and they have a lot of pressure on them. A lot of, when when pricing goes up or demand goes down, it can cause absolute crises in these big companies that employ a lot of people. So chatting to Tim, the CEO, about all of that, and Tim's worked everywhere from Diageo right down to Timmy's. Is still pretty big. We learned a lot about that, and all of that's going to go into Keycast Live, and I think a special episode on Timothy's, because there's so much to talk about with that brewery.
Yeah, it was banging. It was absolutely banging. Really fantastic. Very hospitable to us as well. Generous with the merch, Johnny. Always love that. Always
We've walked away
appreciate
with
that.
a good hat.
Any breweries out there listening to this, do like a good merch drop as I'm leaving you, if we've been filming and stuff.
Always
but
on
yeah,
the take, Bradley.
Well, no, not really, but I did appreciate, like you said, I was like, oh man, that's a bucket hat with Timmy's all over it, to marketing guy, and he was like, oh, I'm sure we can sort you one of those out. So he brought me one in, and it didn't fit on my massive bonce. And he brought you in a woolly hat with a bobble on top that said Timmy's on the front.
Landlord.
Oh, does it say landlord? I can't remember.
It says, yeah, landlord.
Oh, maybe it says landlord then, yeah. Anyway, it was brilliant. So I had to ask him if I could swap hats and then show him that it didn't fit on my head. I think we might be related because he also had a massive cranium.
He did. I think it was bigger than yours when you were literally comparing notes.
Yeah. It was big. The other thing that was big was the amount of clothing we had to wear walking around on possibly one of the hottest days of the year.
Yeah, so it was a warm day, and so Timothy Taylor's a certified, like about as high as you can possibly be certified for food safety. So when we went in, we needed special hard boots that were also sanitary. We had to wear white coats. We had to tape up any jewelry or take it off. We had to wear a hard hat and high vis. And then we had to walk through. There was one particular room, which is where their hot liquor tanks are, that I would say was about maybe just over 40 degrees.
It had to be, yeah. It was so bad.
So that was deeply unpleasant. But, I mean, again, like that, I think shows the extraordinary lengths they go to get incredibly high quality and consistent beer. You certainly don't see that level of hygiene at small breweries. I'm not saying you should see that level, but maybe some breweries could learn a little bit from that.
It was amazing though, wasn't it? Really, it was like the only other places I've been that are like that are maybe like yeast places and stuff that are more like lab conditions. It's not the sort of thing I'd normally associate with a brewery. So really impressed by all of that, and I think that explains why I've never had a bad pint at Landlord, because, well, at that, and also obviously the care that gets taken with it along its journey.
It's clear that Tim has taken some of what he learned at Diageo and Guinness over to Timothy Taylor's, because he understands that you live and die by what the beer is like in the pub. And so he has, made sure that what comes out of the brewery, him and Andy, the head brewer, have made sure that what comes out of the brewery is incredibly consistent and incredibly delicious, but then also the training and the investment they put into their own pubs and the pubs that serve, particularly Landlord, are very, very well trained in how to look after it. And it's a tricky beer to look after because they send it out, it has a lot of carbonation in it, a lot of work still to do when it goes to the pub, whereas most breweries now tend to send it out when it's pretty much ready. But Timmy's do it another way and train people to look after it.
Yeah, it's all amazing. The other thing that was amazing was the cold chain lorries, the Timmy's lorries. If you ever see one on a motorway, look out above the cab where the driver sat. You'll see a huge refrigeration unit, because those casks are all cold chained the whole way. Well,
cold chain, cellar chain,
cellar,
11 to 13 degrees.
Yeah. Which is still like amazingly impressive.
Absolutely. Sorry, I just didn't want people to think that they were basically freezing their cask ales, because obviously they're still living beers fermenting away.
Yeah. I was just using the terminology of the concept of cold chaining.
Yep.
But yeah, very impressive setup.
And we should talk about. We went to some other lovely pubs. So you can't do a tour of Timothy Taylor's. It's because health and safety and food safety is so tight there. But you can go to their sort of unofficial tap room, which is in the centre of Keighley. It's called something on the Green. Timmy's on the Green, something like that.
Yeah, something on the Green. Yeah.
Yeah, which was a great sort of gastropub. And we had some delicious food there and filmed some little bits. But then we also went to, I guess, a satellite town of Keighley. I forget the name of it. Beautiful place with an amazing sort of cobbled, sloped high street. And there it wasn't called the Golden Fleece. Was it the Fleece?
Oh, I thought it was the Golden Fleece. That was the other one we went to.
I think we went to the Golden Fleece, and that was not the right pub, or indeed a nice pub. I think it was the Fleece or the Old Fleece, which is a hotel and pub, like a really lovely old pub vibe. Again, it's not quite Bluebell-esque, but very quaint and lovely. And we were there on Pie Night, which brought me great joy. Had a pie made with the gravy was made with landlord. And yeah, just like it was just quintessential British living. What we did, really.
Dude, that day I ate a huge suet pudding, like a pie, but suet one with landlord gravy and steak inside it. And then for dinner I had gammon, egg, pineapple, and chips.
Yeah, you went for the light option for dinner,
which was mental. I don't know what I was doing, but it was so hot that day as well. But
you can't not order that kind of food in a pub like that, though. You're not going to have a salad in an old country pub.
No way.
Nothing against salad. Well, something against salad, but not a lot against salad. But you don't eat salads in a pub, friends. It's just madness.
It is madness. It was a fantastic trip. I had such a great time. Such memories. Tim was a nice fella, as were the rest of the gang. And York is now... It's right up there in my sort of places to go and drink. I'd love to have gone to Golden Bell, I think was another one that people were saying.
Golden Ball, sorry.
Yeah. Cooperative pub, which sounded super cool. And there was a bunch of others that were suggested to us. So I think, if anything, Johnny, we've learnt we need to go back.
Well, maybe we'll do a screening of Keep Casca Live up there and...
oh, that'd be nice.
See some more pubs, because it's a stunning place to go drinking if you love Carscale. We didn't really touch on the keg stuff, but yeah, we had a great time at Brew York, and obviously there's House of Trembling Madness, which is a very famous bottle shop and great bar, which is in a stunning location as well. So York is really quite special when it comes to drinking good beer. So yeah, that footage is transferring across. The editing process will start soon. I'm actually recording my audiobook next week. Otherwise, it would have started next week. So I've got my voice is nearly back. I don't know if you can tell. It's still struggling along.
You've had like a cough and a bad throat for, you said a month. I think it's longer than that.
No. Manchester Craft Beer Festival's when I caught it. Some grubby hand I shook. Has laid waste to me the last month. But I'm nearly there. Trips to Timothy Taylor's and Crisp have not helped. Let's be honest. Particularly drinking, I think in total 5 pints of Timothy Taylor's Landlord. But speaking of drinking too much, oh sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, all the travel is. I know everyone's like, oh, you got a dream job, it's amazing. I'd love to be you guys. You just drink or whatever. But like this week, to go to Crisp, we turned that around in a day, and I was in the car for 8 hours that day.
Yeah.
Because I drove to you, then you very kindly drove us up to Norfolk, which is not a short distance away from where you live. Then we filmed all day in several locations. Didn't really eat or drink properly. So I think I was definitely dehydrated. And then you drove us back down to yours, and then I drove all the way back to London. So it was a mammoth day. But this is what we do, man. This is what we've chosen to do. This is our lot. We're kind of we're travelling men when it comes to these docu-series.
We are, and there's lots more travel to come. So we're back to Yorkshire, but to Leeds this time in 2 weeks' time. Yeah. And where else? We'll be off to Burton and Birmingham. Lots of northern locations for this series, which I'm very excited about, because we haven't covered northern breweries enough outside of Manchester. So that's very exciting, but it does involve lots of driving. We've reached the point with our kit now that trains probably don't cut the mustard. We need a boot. Yeah.
You become
anyway,
a bit of a... Go on.
Go on. We need to keep this.
We do. I agree.
Keep this
Let's
manual car on the road.
Yeah.
And dig in to, because we've got 2 episodes to talk about, because we didn't manage a podcast last week because of those Timmy adventures. We've got Chimay episode 1 and Chimay episode 2 to talk about.
Yes.
Both of which were pretty mammoth in different ways. One was a lot of research and a lot of history, and one was just a lot of booze. So yeah, Chimay, as I said, not a brewery, one of my introductions to Belgian beer for sure. And I used to drink a lot of, particularly the Blue. I've always enjoyed that beer. But I've never really considered it one of my favourite breweries. It's always been Westmalle and Orval, really, for me. Those are Westmalle Triple and Orval have been my favourite Trappist beers. So I didn't know that much going into Chimay, and I had to do a lot of research to fill in some gaps and to work it out. But what I really liked, what made Chimay unique, is this really, really strong link to the location. Most of the stories we've told in this series have been essentially monks being like, well, here'll do, because they're fleeing something, right? They're looking for safety, and they end up, the monks of West Valletta ended up on a hermit's land and went, can we stay? Westmalle got chased all over sort of the lowlands before finally settling, whereas Chimay, a local priest was like, we need a monastery because we need to kick off farming. Got a load of West Valletta and monks there, and they just went, right, great, let's go. Let's support this community. So they're, as far as I can tell, like the most rooted in what I think, would be the biggest boon of having a monastery, which is the money that flows from it and the good works that they do. So it was interesting to see that side of Chimay and see just how close it is. Because when we talk about the definitions of Trappist beer, we say that one of them is that all the money goes to good causes. I've never really dug deeply in to what those good causes are, and I think it's something I need to start asking some of the people that represent these monasteries. But Chimay, the effect was clear right from 1850 when they opened. They were literally providing food and employment to the local environs.
Environs.
And yeah, so really interesting story if you haven't listened to that one. Watch that one. And then we drank the red and the blue, which I didn't get the sense you were particularly keen on.
Not massively, no. Were they the slightly meaty ones, weren't they? I'm just trying to think back.
Yeah, definitely some.
brain.
I don't know whether it's autolysis or something, but it's always been a character, certainly of the red. The blue, I've always got more nail polish off, a slightly more kind of estery fruitiness, but that it still had that kind of character to it, which none of the other Trappist beers we've had have had.
No. That's the thing. Quite different, which I guess is good, right? I mean, that's the thing with Trappist beers. They're not like a style particularly, are they? They are styles within Trappism, but it's kind of a movement, isn't it? Really, it's an order.
Yeah,
So
I mean, a
it's an
Trappist
interesting
brewery,
concept.
as Spencer proved when they opened in the US, sadly now closed. They made an IPA. You can make whatever you want. Trappist is not a style. Trappist breweries have invented styles that have sort of come to colour in what we think of Trappist beer, but yeah, Trappism is not a style of beer. It is a Catholic way of Catholic monastic life.
That's it.
So yeah, I mean, they are all kind of different, and I still really like the blue. The red I've never loved and still don't. But as we found in episode 2, we found 3 beers that we absolutely loved, and one was the barrel aged blue, which we'll dig into, but the other was the two of the 3 blonde ones. So the gold was great.
Nectar, absolute nectar.
And we loved it. It was floral, it was fruity, it was herbal. And I said in the video, I was like, I reckon there's probably some kind of extra addition going in. I think there's curacao in red and blue. And somebody, Lipov Bog, said gold one supposedly has coriander seeds and bitter orange peel. And yes, it is very saison-y. So yeah, still don't know whether it's a different yeast. If I can speak to anybody at Chimay, I'd love to know. But yeah, apparently coriander seeds and orange peel in that one to give it that really, really big, not sesame, big, fruity, spicy aroma.
I managed to find one I didn't like in the second video too, Johnny.
You did, yeah. Well, I don't think anybody likes the green. We'll dig into some comments in a bit. It's a bonkers beer.
It is a bonkers beer.
And I just can't quite understand what they were thinking.
Well, I found a great comment for it, which I think sums it up pretty well.
Go on.
It's from Drink79. I always love to do the dishes with the green. Definitely not my favourite. I think they're basically saying it tastes like
Fairy liquid.
Fairy liquid, which is not unfair in that it's very minty. It's an odd. I don't want a minty beer. I don't think we've had one years ago. I remember like a pastry stout that was minty or something, and I wasn't keen either. It's just weird. It's not great. I don't think mint in beer is very good.
I think often it's rare. I have had some minted beers where they've been, oh, that's quite interesting. It's not the worst, but it's a very complicated flavour to get right in a beer.
Definitely.
At best it ends up like a Murray mint, and there's a reason that only your nan. Keep talking about nans at the moment. Loves a Murray mint. I got a comment on the green from Nunny Nun. I don't know whether that's a reference to how much they love Trappism, but Nunny Nun says green is definitely one of my favourites from Chimay. We only get it in select shops where I'm from, and I'm not sure if it's down to improper storage or being on the shelf for so long, but I get absolutely no menthol or candlestick character from it at all. If anything, it just tastes like a bigger version of white Chimay for me, which is why I like it so much. Maybe it gets less weird with age.
Interesting. So maybe they're buying older ones that have just been light struck or something, and it's killed off the minty vibes.
To be clear, we said menthol and candlestick, but the website mentions mint and bergamot, which is where we took those two notes. So it's very pronounced. All palates are different. There's no wrong answers in beer tasting, but it's definitely not a big white Chimay. It's a very different beer, and it's really, really herbal, and I think mentally it's. I'd love to sit down with whoever designed that recipe and said, what was the aim? What were you trying to achieve here?
Exactly. What you want to do is have an intervention with them. Yeah, get all their friends together, their beer friends, and go, we love you. Look, we know you're a good monk. We know that you've got good intentions, but we need to have an intervention.
Well, I'm not sure it would have been a monk that designed the recipe. They might have signed it off.
Come on, Johnny.
Sorry. Live the lie. Yep.
They're something monks. They're food. What would they be?
Food science monks.
Food science monks. And their buddies all got around. They're sitting on little plastic chairs in a therapy meeting together.
I think it would be Gold Thrones, didn't we decide at Chimay?
Oh yeah, it should be. Yeah, very decadent artwork, very beautiful. And they're watching this little monk chain smoke menthol cigarettes, probably, I reckon. Because what it tasted like to me was you've fallen asleep at a house party and some dickhead has put their menthol cigarette in your can of beer or bottle of beer, and you've woken up and taken a swig and gone, ugh, what's going on there? That's what it tasted like to me.
Brutal.
It is brutal, right?
Yeah.
So
brutal on all counts for you and for Chimay.
Green Chimay.
Really working on never getting invited to Chimay.
Oh, damn. I retract all of my last statements. I just said it for the lols.
So we weren't a fan of the green.
No.
I just want to highlight another comment, just in case he's listening. But Biscuit Jeff,
great name, love it,
says, as an Earl Grey drinker, you have wounded me. To which I replied, sorry, Nan, I mean man. Which has gone down well. But I apologise to you, Jeff. But Earl Grey is awful, isn't it?
I don't drink tea, really, so
well, yeah, you don't drink hot drinks at all.
No.
If it's not in a can, cold and sweetened coffee,
yeah, exactly,
you're not interested in caffeine. or Coke?
Well, the only place I've drunk hot coffee and enjoyed it was when we were with the Amish, and we stopped in that little weird diner place where you had
Such a
scrapple.
weird place to have enjoyed a coffee. Like that coffee,
Because it had
I
creamer.
can't remember it because it would have it had what in it?
Creamer. We've talked about this before. It was the creamer that tips it over the edge.
Right. So what you like is artificially
sweet
sweetened
sensation.
milk. Okay.
I guess so. I have no idea. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't think I liked it, but I tried it. I was like, that's some good coffee.
Yeah, I'm remembering this conversation and how mad it made me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our Chimay series. I'm not 100% sure where we're going to go next. I mean, obviously there's La Trappe.
Yeah.
I could see if we could try and get hold so I've got a bottle of Spencer's Trappist Ale. We could do a story on Spencer, even though it's now closed. There's obviously Archel, which is now sadly closed as a brewery. If we could get hold of some bottles of that and tell those stories, or we start to move into the Netherlands, Italy, because we've done the UK.
Got a good suggestion from Squashed and Fries.
Go on.
Says, love the series so much. Once this is done, do the German Bavarian breweries, Paulaner, Augustina, Eyinger, etc. I think that's a good shout because they've got history in a similar way, right? Some of those are real old.
Yeah, we could do, and that would help me plug my book as well because I certainly tell the history of Spaten and Augustina in that book, and the fact that Martin Luther's favourite brewery was Augustina. So the man that basically ended up tearing Europe apart. Loved a pint of, well, it wouldn't have been hell, but it would have been funny if it was. Would have been probably a Doppelbock back then or a Weissbier. Yeah, we definitely could do. It's interesting. I've been thinking about this because, these videos are pretty well viewed. They are enjoyed by a wide audience, but there are some people that absolutely love it. And I've been thinking about, the way that this series has gone, and it's definitely got more and more into sort of historical storytelling, which if I look at the original ones, it didn't quite start that way. And I think it's because I have, actually in research for the book, got obsessed with the Rest is History podcast.
Yeah.
And they, all of their best episodes are the ones where they are telling historical stories. So they're weaving a narrative, and it's not always 100%. It is always 100% historically accurate is a tricky term because history can be interpreted, but academically correct or within a bell curve. But they tell the stories extraordinarily well, and that's why I love that podcast. And I think I've been pretty heavily influenced by that, and I'm learning to tell historical stories. And I would love to start doing that for any. Like, we had another person suggest British cask ale breweries. We could do it for historic German breweries, historic Czech breweries. We could do it for things like Carlsberg that has an incredible history. So yeah, I feel like there's a format that could definitely escape the Trappist series and tell any kind of historical story we want, which is not where this channel started either, because everything was so new.
Exactly. You gotta go backwards to go forward sometimes, haven't you?
Sometimes you do, correct. So yeah, not quite sure what we'll do, but once we have finished the Trappist series, so I think there's 11 Trappist breweries now. Is it 11?
Something around there.
Yeah, so we're just over halfway, I think. And we will finish that off. And yeah, maybe it's going to be either British family breweries or I think, Bavarian lager breweries, because there's a lot of history in both those that we could tell that have, particularly the German Bavarian brewery. The Bavarian breweries have so much impact on essentially European history. Very, very influential things in terms of technology and politics. So there'll be lots of fun things to talk about there. Right, we're nearly at time. There's a couple of things I want to alert you to. The first thing is that this week we unveiled the official poster.
Oh, yeah.
For Love and Beer Festival on the 14th of September at Hackney Brewery in Walthamstow. Tickets are still available, but the day session is nearly sold out, folks. So move fast if you want to come during the daytime. So that poster includes all of the collabs that will be poured at the festival. Shall I quickly go through them?
Yeah, dude, go for it.
Cool. Well, so The collabs are split in two. We'll be doing 4 collaborations. In fact, we've brewed one already, which was Emperor's. Have we talked about that on the pod?
Don't believe we
Oh my God, yeah. Maybe that was last Monday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Brad couldn't make it, but last Monday I went up to Bang the Elephant Brewery, just outside of Nottingham. And that is where Damien of Emperor's Brewing, one of the best Imperial Stout brewers in the country, that's where he brews his beers. We had a fantastic day. The beers from Bang the Elephant were absolutely great as well. Just a quick shout out to them. But we were there with Emperor's and we were brewing a big Imperial Stout, which I believe is going to have coffee, maple, and coconut in.
Wild. Yeah.
And we are working on a if you know the brewery, you'll know all their names are based on Star Wars, so there's a Star Wars pun we're working on. So yeah, we're brewing with Emperors. We're also brewing with Two Flints. We're doing a New England IPA with Two Flints, New Zealand hopped. I think we're doing Rawaka Rawaka Nelson Motueka. We're doing a pink lemonade sour with Pastore from Cambridge, and we actually have a video about Pastore next week. Watch out for that.
Oh, yeah.
And then, perhaps most excitingly for all, particularly if you've been in the beer industry for about a decade, you will, of course, know that Pale Fire is one of the most influential and incredible American pale ales in the UK and has been for a long time. And we are brewing the first ever IPA version of that with Pressure Drop.
I mean, that's a mic drop if ever there was one, let alone Pressure Drop, but yeah. Yeah, amazing.
I couldn't be more excited to be doing that project with them. And of course, in that video, we'll be making videos of all 4 of these. We'll be telling the story of Pressure Drop and Pale Fire, which are almost the same story. You know, there's 2 big moments in Pressure Drop's history. One is the first brew of Pale Fire and how that changed everything for them. And the other one is a collab with Verdant, where they started making hazies and actually... could very easily be an under-the-radar video, their hazy beers, because people sleep on them, but they're some of the best in the UK. They make them exceptionally well. So, yeah, those 3 brews are happening week after next. So the videos will be out probably just after the festival. We might try and sneak 1 or 2 early if they're packaged early enough. So the other beers that will be served at the festival are made up of there's 6 other beers, and they are collabs between other breweries that we love. So we've chosen old friends, obviously the Malt Miller, who we're doing the festival with, and then some new friends as well. So we've got Wild Horse and McCall's, 2 breweries that we've been championing this year because we love them. We discovered them last year. We think they both will and indeed deserve to do extremely well. Track have paired up with Malt Miller to brew something, and Malt Miller will be doing a homebrew version of that on their amazing YouTube channel. We've got Utopian and Braybrook brewing together. They are brewing a lightly smoked Dunkel, which is exciting to have some smoked beer on site. Hackney and Burnt Mill have teamed up to brew a Vermont-style IPA, so sort of inspired by Heady Topper. Phantom and Neon Raptor have teamed up to brew a classic hazy American pale.
Love it.
And then Elusive and Jamil Zanashev, who, if you don't know Jamil by name, you'll know his works. He is an incredible brewer from the West Coast, an absolute homebrew hero. And they are brewing an American brown together.
Boom.
So it's going to be a really nice and diverse list. And of course, we also have Budvar there and all of the incredible homebrews from the homebrewers clubs that will be set up in a tent outside at the festival, serving free beer to you in a very special little taster glass that Brad's designed. And they'll be brewing up all kinds of different things in a bid to win the public vote for best homebrew bar at the festival. So yeah, all those details are on the poster, and you can buy your tickets at the link in this podcast description or all over our socials.
Lovely jubbly.
Lovely.
I just had a thought, Johnny. We're going to have some snacks and stuff at the event, but maybe we should work out a little list that things people should bring with them that will pair well with the beers. Is that a good idea? I don't know.
You want people to bring crisps?
I don't know.
And snacks
maybe some frazzles or something, or do you know what I mean?
Oh, we'll have to check with the venue if that's all right.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough.
but we'll come back to you on that one.
Yeah.
Because that might be fun. Have instead of a bottle share, definitely don't bring beer, people, but maybe you can bring crisps and we can have a crisp share.
Oh my God.
Especially if you're coming from different parts of the world.
Yeah, man. Like, I'd love to try some weird and wonderful crisps from all over the place. That'd be super sweet. Let's just do it. I don't care if it's not okay. I do care, but obviously, I think a few packets of crisps would be fun, right? A crisp share. We could have a crisp share at a certain point. That'd be super fun.
It would be. Hold fire, hang fire on there, and we'll confirm.
Yeah, love it.
Right, yeah, that's all we've got time for this week. Next week I'm doing my audiobook, so I'm not sure whether I'll have a voice at the end of the week to do a podcast, but if I do, rest assured that we will get that podcast out. And as I hinted, we've got another Under the Radar coming at you next week, and that is with the amazing Pastore. So we've got 3 very different, very delicious beers to talk about, and of course, the championing of a great brewery that has a web shop. So please do support your small indies as we throw them up on screen. Otherwise, buy your tickets to Love and Beer. Check out Chimay, the 2 Chimay episodes if you haven't, and we will see you next week for some tasty wild ale. Love and Beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and Beer.